Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day, made some beautiful gains. Today, repping the boy, the our favorite traumatized billionaire. um, but that's a whole. I was about to go off on a tangent about Batman, but let's not get into that today. I'll save that for another time. Today I didn't want to speak about Section 309. Unfortunately, I haven't really been able to advance too much on literature. Been getting swamped at work. I'm actually happy to do my job, but I'm not complaining. I'm just, But yeah, the section of today is titled "Fear and Love." Um, Another one of those very reduction kind of things, but I like these sort of sections because I don't really like to waste time, and I feel like people become too verbose and they like to hear themselves talk or listen or read themselves, read about themselves. um all the elaborate opulence of it all, and Nietzsche talks about that all the time in terms of the labyrinth and the complications and the Byzantineness of it all, the over complication of it all. But this is very concise and very clear cut, but provides amazing insight. And well, I'm going to read it quickly before I go off more. So, quote: "The general knowledge of mankind has been furthered to a greater extent by fear than by love. For fear endeavors to find out who the other is, what he can do, and what he wants. It would be dangerous and prejudicial to be deceived on this point. On the other hand, love is induced by secret craving to discover as many beautiful qualities as possible in the loved object, or to raise this loved object as high as possible. It is a joy and an advantage to love to be deceived in this way, and this is why it does it." End quote. It's just another one of really, God kind of draws me to the whole illusion of, love conquers all, good and all this stuff. And, with the concept of love, the way he has it here is really an idealization of the world and our surroundings and the people around us. Love really does make you stupid, if you think about it. I was just having a conversation with my friend talking about, one of his relatives and stuff going on with a boyfriend there. And I'm like, dude, why would you, it's a situation where, like, logically, why are you placing yourself in this situation, not once, not twice, but multiple times? And the more time you invest in it, the more you're going to have to lose, because now you invested so much of your life in the future in this individual, and it's clearly not going to end well. Love really does make you blind, right? That's all that's saying. Love makes you stupid. And a lot of times people consider that to be a good thing, right? Something that defies all logic and reason, and, you're able, through love, you're able to exit, or a way to separate yourself from when your mind is telling you to do, because a lot of times we don't agree with what our mind, our impulse, and there's this constant tug and pull, tug of war as to what we need to do and what we need to think about, and go on and on and on. But with fear, people don't like to talk about that, but it really is fear, because of fear that we have advanced so much. It is because of fear that we have religion. It is because of fear that we've created civilization, if you really think about it. Like, obviously, this is very reductionist, but from that emotion or that drive or whatever you want to call it, stems all of these things. Wanting to figure out what my neighbor is doing, what are they up to, what are they capable of, what do I need to do in order to circumvent these potential obstacles, what do I need to do, what do I need to learn to mitigate any hostile occurrences with my neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that power struggle, power in relation communication going on, that we always have to deal with. The fear of poverty, the fear of missing out, the fear of this. We always want to be PC as fuck and talk about love and the good qualities in us, the ignorant qualities. But it's those pessimistic, some call pessimistic, those cynical traits that allows us to continue to elevate. We're always double thinking ourselves to oblivion because we feel like it's too immodest to voice these opinions or voice these realizations out loud. We kind of have to double think ourselves back into ignorance and pretend like we never realized it in the first place, and we never have and we never will. And with love, there really does come that idealization, and that's why love is a crucial component of many religions, especially feminine ones. You have to have something that is able to contradict logic, and because of the fact that it's illogical and is built on unreason, you can't use that against it, right? The whole reason why many people turn to religion is because it's not logical. Because people look at the world around them and they're like, wow, I don't like how this world works. Why is the world working this way? I don't like it. Why can't the world be like this and this and this and this and this and this? And we start throwing our own biases and our own drives and our own selfish interests on and start idealizing and start making things divine, right? Making love divine, even, because that in itself is against the logic of the world, and the world itself is something that you despise. So this is a logical path to follow once you reject the world, right? Because there's just so many traits that people don't like to talk about that is a part of us. And there's another section that he previously where he talks about the forgetful ones. I'm going to just read it quick. Quote, in outbursts of passion and the delusions of dreams and madness, man rediscovers his own primitive history and that of humanity, animality, and its savage grimaces. For once his memory stretches back into the past, while the civilized condition is developed from the forgetfulness of these primitive experiences, that is to say, from the failing of this memory. He who, as a forgetful man of a higher nature, has always remained aloof from these things, does not understand men. But it is an advantage if from time to time there are individuals who do not understand men, individuals who are, so to speak, created from the divine seed and born of reason, end quote. And that just that further expounds upon it, right? Because what's the biggest thing in Christianity, for example? I'm always getting back to that, but whatever. We really do live what the ramifications of that religion to this highly secularized society, even though. So, and I'm not in the Middle East, so what the fuck am I gonna be talking about Islam for? But because what's the thing of Christianity is to go back to our true nature, right? Ignorance and bliss, and all of us happy together, and there's no violence, there's no strife, there's no suffering. And even from that itself, you could kind of tell what sort of person requires for this sort of future to be real. But let's not get into that. But going back into nature, being stupid. It is because of the tree of knowledge that we now have suffering and death. So there is still, from the very beginning, this separation, this battle, this battle between reason and nature. And that section just, facilitates in that, is that, we really do like to use love as the thing that circumvents or overcomes our outlook, our logical outlook on life, our logical outlook, or the logical conclusions that we've gone to in regards to our place in life, our place in society, our place amongst our friends, and things of that nature. That's why truth really is the ultimate black pill. People want the truth and they don't know what that entails. But but it's through that, even the seeking of knowledge is through fear, right? You don't want to be screwed over. You don't want to be cast around in the winds. You're afraid of that sort of thing occurring. You want to be in control. That's why you seek knowledge. That's why you seek reason to mitigate that amount of fear, is to build yourself up, to fortify yourself. Or you could take the road of love, which makes you sound like a real asshole, but these are things that you have to take into consideration. And people talk about balance and taking things, and there has to be a balance. There's nothing wrong with being stupid in love and things of that nature and all that, following your passions to see where it goes, because sometimes our minds really do become an impediment because we just overanalyze the fuck out of it. But I feel like, in terms of that hesitation or that trepidation that comes from the thinking and then the deed, and that obviously goes into a whole another fucking can of worms. But I think that what will separate, or I mean, what will reduce the filtration or the hesitation is confidence and knowledge, knowing that you are going to do the right thing, knowing where your intentions lead to, where they come from. Obviously we have no control of the future, but at least you have a certain trajectory. You are in some semblance of control as to where you're going to go, where you're coming from, and what is the big plan ahead. Not to just follow blindly, and like, love, for example, like, and the last section that I talked about how, using innocence and ignorance to get people to be coerced, to be feeling guilty and coming and actually believing in all this crap about heaven. And the only way to get to heaven is through the circuitous path of hell, of constantly admonishing yourself, constantly berating yourself. This religion that constantly reminds you of the big fat error that is your existence because of original sin, and somehow it's hereditarily passed through our genetics. There's always going to be that conversation, and even in modern times, there is that fight of reason and love, right? The 20th century can be objectively seen. Not really. I was gonna say when logic runs rampant, and that's something that people have really taken and used and propagated as a valid argument. But I feel like it has a lot of holes now that I was thinking about it, because if you think about what transpired in Germany in the 20th century, that was no reason or logic contained in that. Obviously, that was the predations. That was someone predating on the frustrations and fear of individuals. That was a perfect time for individuals, as who I'm talking about, to arise and take control. People having a fear and wanting more. That's a whole complicated, convoluted mess. Talking about the minds of the 1920s and 30s Germans. Who am I to be commenting on such things? But then you do have the Soviet Union that was trying to logically bring about the Elysium, the utopia for mankind and things of that nature. And, you can make an argument in that regard, because, the one man is irrelevant and in comparison to the trajectory and the wishes of the whole. And that all stems from Christianity. Who individuals don't matter, it's the group. And that is logic run rampant, that's for sure. But even then, it's just another power play, and it's just another natural trajectory, I suppose. People say that's not real socialism and stuff like that. We all know socialism doesn't work anyways. Even if you try to throw a whole lot of logic in it, it's entirely based on unreason and logical conclusions, right? So how much can you really blame on reason when the entire thing is not built on reason to begin with? Nobody lives like this. Us humans don't work like this. This is all an idealization that we could somehow all get along, and love and peace and tranquility is more than enough to satiate all our selfish desires. It's not. And that's, I thinking about that, I really do want to read Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky. My apologies if I don't pronounce that correctly. Because there's an interesting, I was watching a video about that like a couple of months ago, and there's a very interesting quote in Dostoevsky that even Dr. Jordan Peterson has quoted a few times. And the guy is talking about how, you could give man his daily bread and satiate all his physical wants and needs, and there will be this perfect utopia, and we'll somehow find a way to fuck it all up, because that's not good enough for us. We need conflict. No matter how hard we try to forget, right? Forget our past. Forget those animalistic drives and desires. That's what drives us. Like, this whole civilization thing is a way to forget about that sort of thing. So it just provides great insight, and obviously this is one of the like really getting down into the nitty gritty of what Nietzsche's philosophy is all about. Very simple and direct, and that's what I love about it. Man, not to mince words. Not someone like a fucking Immanuel Kant, and his notorious critique of reason and its elaborate pomposity, and it's very difficult to read through. One day I'll get through it. One day. It's just Jesus Christ. I just said the guy's name, but I love this contrast him from what other people were doing even before him. With even people like Schopenhauer and stuff of that nature, but. Because that's another guy that needed to believe in love in order to circumvent the destruction and the savagery that is life. It's very difficult to say yes to life, to say I, to be, like a Dionysus, to be an affirmer of life and all its woes and everything that it entails in life. People, just to finish off, with love, we really do try to find only the beautiful qualities in people and events, and even the things that we believe in. And when people, when you have like motherfucking hippies and shit talking about love conquers all and community and nature, there's this idealizing look at nature itself and the world. They're very superficial. They stop there because they know if they continue to go, the fallacy that they placed on themselves becomes such. The veil gets lifted rather quickly because nature is not all beautiful. Yes, there's beautiful things to look, but what is beneath all that? What is required for the continued beautiful beauty of this nature? Death, destruction, savageness, this constant devouring. And even with, we even use fear to create religions. I know I probably said that in the beginning, but that what it was, us primitive motherfuckers walk around in the wild with our fucking spears and shit and looking at this bright orangey aura thing that burns our skin, and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like, how can we get away from it? How can we appease it? And that's why a lot of religions were pretty savage back then with human sacrifices, because guess what? The world was savage as fuck. And what is the ultimate price in the world? Your life. You know what I'm saying? If you want the ultimate prize, you have to be willing to pay the ultimate price. And that's a very controversial statement that I just made, but maybe that's why we don't really get along. And I'm not talking about making fucking, I'm not being a proponent of human fucking sacrifice. But in the essence of it, we are not really willing to sacrifice all, like, ourselves for this greater knowledge or this greater truth that we're supposedly seeking. We're not really willing to eradicate and murder and burn ourselves. Obviously I'm speaking metaphorically, but in order to get there, because it's too much pain, it's too painful. We're too afraid of making such decisions now. I just love these sort of little tidbits that just allow you to just continue to ramp on forever. But, there is an advantage to love, as he says in the beginning, and, being able to kind of, one of the things is that you do kind of need untruth in order to continue on with your existence. Because if you're constantly flirting with truth and constantly being reminded of how fucking pointless and all this stuff, you can place yourself, like, you won't move. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need these ideals, this thing to chase. Like, you're never going to get there. But it allows a standardization and a methodology to the way that you go about in life. It's like it's like a great analogy, just working out and training. I'm not going to be the biggest guy ever. But guess what? It doesn't matter. I want to do it anyways. You know what I'm saying? My idealization of how I want to look like, I'm probably never going to get there. But that doesn't mean that there's no point in chasing it. I just don't like to throw religion in it. I don't even like to say making my ideal. It's very difficult because the vocabulary that we possess is not even adequate. I don't like to say idealizing sometimes because there's so much religious connotations to it. And I'm not religious, and I don't throw religion onto this. I don't make it divine. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm aware that it stands from me, and then it can only go as far as I make it, as I want it to be. There are limitations that I'm consistently aware of. um, I don't like to throw metaphysical value onto these things, because then you become overly attached on them, and it causes myopia of vision. Am I being too overly analytical? Probably. But what has love done for me? Just idealizing, this wanting to fit in, this wanting to be loved by others, this wanting to be loved by the group, and wanting to be accepted for all my weirdness and quirkiness. And guess what? I lost myself along the way. How many of us lose ourselves along the way trying to chase this love from others, wanting to be loved because we can't stand being alone. We don't know the virtue or the power of loneliness. We're constantly being told that to be alone is bad. And that's why you read all these books like 1984 and Brave New World. They don't want you to be alone, because alone you're in your thoughts. Alone you come up with crazy things. Alone comes those revolutionary ideas. But when you're in the group and the group thing comes about, and you wanting to acquiesce, and these traits of us wanting to fit in, that fear of missing out, and that fear of not being loved, that contradiction, like that paradoxical connection, is essential. But when you're alone, you really begin to find out about yourself, and you begin to find out why you may be very similar to most people. There is that semblance of uniqueness, that semblance of individuality that you must nurture. And the only way you can nurture it is to be alone. A lot of us are too afraid to be alone. We hop on to relationships, we hop on to friendships and things of that nature. We hop on to religions to mitigate that fear, to extirpate that fear entirely. Immerse ourselves in the waves of these emotions, because we're too scared of looking inwards. And I've been looking inwards for a while now. I'm not gonna say a very long time. I'm only 28 years old. What the fuck do I know about anything, right? Like, I'm a youngin' that's had to figure this out kind of all on his own. I've had parents. I'm not gonna, and I had family, but I was a young boy by himself, figuring all this out by himself. I didn't have really. My father was around, but I really didn't look at him for some sort of inspiration. But I didn't really have a father figure, or an older brother, or an older male figure that you could respect, that could guide me, that could discipline me. I've had to really learn this all on my own, and I've really had to kind of forgive myself, be easy on myself, and be like, dude, you at least you're trying. And I think that's what sometimes we really have to remind ourselves, especially if you come from like me, wanting to kill ourselves all the time, or wanting to do some crazy stuff, and now you're trying. That's the important thing, right? That we have overcome that fear and want to use reason and knowledge and these amazing men to stand on the shoulders of, to overcome our environments, to overcome our past, to overcome our past decisions, and be enlightened and become this ubermensch. You know what I'm saying? It's that's why sometimes I really do have to remind myself of where I've been. Where was I a few years ago to compare to where I am now? It's wonderful, to think that, I'm at the gym sometimes and people tell me I'm inspiring them, and they want me to, they ask me questions to help them out. Or I have friends telling me, dude, listening to you or watching you or hearing you speak, I want to fucking start reading. To be an inspiration to people in a positive way is amazing. But I'm digressing away from the main topic of this discussion, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, this is a great. I fucking love this book, man. The Dawn of Day. I'm gonna, we'll just go on and continue. I'm a little bit ahead of it. This is before Danger and Innocence, which is the one I was speaking about the last episode. And I just wanted to get back into it because I was like rereading everything and jotting stuff down, and I'm like, why haven't I made a video about this topic? It's very nice. So. Well, thank you all. Like I said, I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope you all have a great day. Hope you all make a beautiful gains, gorgeous gains. Get in the pain. And tomorrow is for me leg day. I don't know. I don't know. Oh no, I didn't say here, but yeah. With Widowmakers, I'm gonna have to continue to learn because my Widowmaker set, like the previous one, the one before this one, like the previous Widowmaker on my Smith squat, I was doing 160, right? And I got to 20 reps. It was a brutal war. But I got there and I wrote down, stay on the fucking way because there's no way I can, you know. But then I go today, I mean, yesterday, no, not even yesterday, fucking Monday. My apologies. I'm way off kilter. Monday, and I was only able to get 13, you know. Like that 13 rep was tough. And I put this on my Instagram. It's like, dude, I could have technically gone for more, but then it would not have been quads. It would have been lower back pushing me up. And the fuck do I want to do that for? I don't want to do that. That's not the point of squats. But yeah, love y'all. Hope y'all make amazing gains. Hope this provokes you to read some today. If you haven't read this already, I suggest you do. It's fucking wonderful. Love y'all. Peace.